Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Today is the day that Mercury governs, and Mercury is currently in Gemini. Mercury just finished a retrograde about a week ago, completed the full cycle of the retrograde. Good morning. It created the full cycle of the retrograde. Mercury rules Gemini. So this energy right now is really potent. And the thing that's most significant about Mercury and understanding is that Mercury is about the stories we tell ourselves. And the stories we tell ourselves, you hear people in meaning-making machines, right? Meaning-making machines. If you see a flower, and for me, let me speak for myself. When I see a flower, I will tell myself a little story about that, or I'll have a sensation. We are in a constant relationship with our perception. It is the thing that rules us. Our perception always wins. One person can see something and be afraid of it, and another person can see something and be, in love with it. That experience, two very different experiences, perception, the stories we're telling ourselves, is the key to all of reality. It is the key to everything. Mercury at the 19th degree of Gemini. The 19th degree is the degree of service. The sun is in Cancer. And so because the sun is in Cancer, it's important for you to recognize that we are nurturing ourselves with whatever is going on. You can nurture yourself with McDonald's, or you can nurture yourself with fresh fruit grown out of your garden. It's literally about what you're taking in. That's all. When I say nurturing, I'm not saying that it is nutritious. I'm saying that you're giving yourself something, right? So whatever you're doing this month is nurturing you. It's giving you something. So you definitely want to be mindful of how you are feeding yourself, caring for yourself, the information you're taking in, the people, right? Literally, the people, because this month is so significant because Mars is in Aries. Mars rules Aries. Mercury is in Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini. Neptune is in Pisces. Neptune rules Pisces. So we're really creating a pretty strong foundation. And if we can be intentional about what we take in, what we bring into our system, the sun is in Cancer, our home. This body is your home. So what thoughts you're taking in, what you're absorbing from your environment, if you can be conscious and intentional about that, you are setting yourself up for a future self that will be in greater alignment. If you can be intentional in this, if you can be mindful, if you can watch what you're doing, right? And watch what you're taking in. Okay, there was something I wanted to say before I started this live. And what I notice is that when I get on the lives, something happens and I don't do what I wanted to do intentionally. So Mercury, like I said, is about the stories we tell ourselves. Mercury has been in retrograde, the 19th degree, service. So the 19th degree is the degree of service. So what you want to be asking yourself is, how can I best serve myself? What are the best choices I can make for myself right now? How can I serve myself? And if you have been doing the work, in the last 6 months or the last year, towards evolving yourself and ascending, and even if you haven't, even if you're just here right now, you can start where you are and ask, what is the best choice for myself? I'm becoming really aware of the fact that as the system that we were born into begins to really decline and dissolve and break down, those energies have to go somewhere else. So we have to become aware of how we're managing our system. What goes in, what goes out. What's the value of it? Is what you're putting in valuable? Like if you're eating McDonald's, is that valuable? How will that serve you? Or if you're eating vegetables grown out of your garden and anything in between, right? This is not about wrong making. This is not about meaning making things right or wrong. This is about your perception of it. And as our old reality begins to die, we have to then begin to source new meaning. I hope I'm being clear. We have to begin to source new meaning for ways of being that actually help us towards a new way of functioning. Let me see what I'm trying to say. So what I'm seeing in my own life is that there were ways that I used to function that I learned in my old reality from my parents or my community or my family or conditioning, that I learned that I just did because this is how we were told to do it. And now, as that system is breaking down, I'm realizing that shit never really worked for me. So now, how can I begin to source a new way of being? How can I begin to execute a new way of functioning? And how I see it for me at this time is, for me, being a Black woman meant that I had a belief system, a perception that we were at the bottom of the totem pole. Like, I hate that fucking thing that you hear going around where I think it's like Malcolm X's voice saying, the Black woman is the least respected. The Black woman is the most downtrodden. I hate that shit. I hate it. I think it's, and the fact that it's played over and over and again as a program, it just continues to recondition us in this idea that we are subjected to everybody's bullshit. So literally, we take that on as if it's true and we adhere to it. So I'm literally looking at my life and saying, where are the ways that I have just gone along to get along because I believed that because I was a Black woman, I didn't have a choice. I was powerless. I needed to, because that system that we were born into demanded that, but this new system does not demand that. This new system will give me, I don't want to speak for anybody else, will give me the opportunity to stand in my actual dominion and ownership of myself so that I can function in alignment with who I really am and not what I have been told that I need to be and how I have, like, I remember when I was a little girl going to church, it was like, you need to be modest. You need to, do this, close your legs, pull your dress down so that the pastor isn't turned on. Don't be seductive. And I'm not saying that I need to start to be seductive, but I was given that way of being to make someone else happier or feel safe rather than that, rather than the men being told, control your impulses. You control your impulses rather than making people cover up and be, right? So those are ideas, perceptions that showed up in my way of being because it was like, I don't want to be too much. Let me do this. So now I'm like, what would I really do? How would I really be if I wasn't making myself small to make somebody else feel comfortable? take your clothes to the bathroom and don't come out. It's like, and here's the thing. I would get in an argument and check about that, right? So, like, there are countless ideas. I'm just using that as an example. But there are countless ways that we embody these behaviors that show up in our subconscious. And so when we begin to question ourselves, maybe it'll show up as anger or pissosity. And it's like, why am I so pissed off? What's going on? Why am I so pissed off? Oh, because I feel myself doing something that really isn't my authentic way of being. I feel myself not speaking, like somebody's saying something that I hear and I know it's some bullshit, and I am not saying it out loud because I'm not questioning them or finding a way to ask questions and get curious, because I have interpreted it that if I do, they're going to be angry and I'm not going to, I can't make sense of it. So now it's like, well, just ask, or now just say, well, can you clarify that? What do you mean exactly? Help me understand better, without feeling like I'm going to be a threat to them, right? And so, and not without thinking that I want to be a threat to them, but really questioning, like allowing myself to really trust that what I'm feeling is significant because I am feeling it. It's significant because I'm feeling it. And if I am willing to honor what I'm feeling in a way that is loving, right? Like, oh, I'm feeling something. I don't know if this feels right for me. Okay, let me honor that. And then let me say, well, can you explain more to me what you mean? Like, help me understand that. Without just being like, no, or that's wrong. And then we create a conversation so that we can both grow, right? This is Mercury. This is Mercury. Building new perceptions. Breaking down the old mindsets, ways of being, and questioning them, getting curious about it, and then slowly, gently erecting a new way of being. And it's a process. It is a process. Like our change and transformation is a process of becoming. It doesn't happen overnight. Otherwise, we just continue to stay in old ways of being out of habitual patterning, out of conditioning. You have to catch yourself in the act. You have to question your thoughts. You have to take responsibility for what you're feeling. You have to go like, oh, why? And don't deflect it. Don't make the other person wrong. Don't make it about the other person. Just get clear about what you're feeling and take responsibility for that. And then if you need to engage the other person, do, but from a perspective of curiosity for your own growth and evolution. That's what we're up to. That's what we're up to. Questioning it all. Questioning everything. Mercury is about questions. And here's the thing. Mercury is this dualistic energy. So when you question things, you can question it from this perspective and this perspective and this, and literally do your understand, like make nothing wrong. Make nobody wrong. Just get curious. And in the curiosity and making nobody wrong, solutions and new realities will present themselves. You will be able to find something that actually feels better. It's like finding a really pretty dress in the store and, trying on the size 4 and being like, this don't fit right yet. I really like this dress, but it don't fit right. And then you try it on a size larger and you're like, okay, that fits better, but let me put a jacket on with it. See if it does this, right? Like really giving yourself to try on completely different perspectives. And like in that, I see the places where I'm really stuck. Like yesterday I was having a conversation with a girlfriend of mine who was saying that she might open her romantic energy up to people who are not Black. And I could just feel myself go, yeah, that dress is not the dress I want to wear. I just was like, I don't want to wear that dress. I just felt the resistance. It's like, nah, that's not for me. And I noticed that. I said, yeah, that's not for me. I noticed it. I noticed how it felt in my body. I noticed, and the reason she said it, because we were at the beach and we were watching a young woman walk by, and it was a beautiful, really chocolate young woman. She was gorgeous, and she was holding hands with a person who was a different race. And her energy looked happy. It looked open-hearted. It looked authentic. It looked good, right? And then I started saying to her, well, if it feels right, then you should do that. If it feels like you're being honored and celebrated and seen, then you should do that. If it feels aligned, then you should follow the feeling. But I noticed that for me, I was like, yeah, right? And so what are the nuances in there? What are the nuances of that? I don't know where I'll land with it. I'm not even interested in that yet. I'm interested in the process of visiting these different perceptions that will allow me to land in my most authentic expression. I'm not interested in jumping into anything. And it was so interesting. So in the conversation, she was like, yeah, I'm just noticing that there are so many interracial couples everywhere I go. I'm like, yeah, because the media, a few years ago, the media started creating, you see all over the place, Black women with white men and white men with Black. That was sort of really off limits for a really long time. I mean, they had to go to court to make the shit legal, 50 years ago or so. But now you see it in the media everywhere. So the conditioning and the programming creates something in our subconscious that now makes what wasn't acceptable more acceptable. So it's becoming something that people just are doing because it's a subconscious programming that happens. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is what it is. It is what it is. But I also know that I understand our system and how it works. And so I'm going to land where I land. Yes. And the media definitely influences it. And so, here's the thing. With Mercury, we want to begin to see our perceptions, where they've come from, and then how we can evolve them. Because this reality is perception based. Perception always wins. If you perceive that something is bad, you win. If you perceive that something is serving you, you win. But whatever you perceive, it's serving you somehow. It's always serving you somehow. And it's just your reality. What's true for you, it has nothing to do with anybody else. You could be married to someone, living in the same house, sleeping in the same bed, sharing the same bodies, and your perception of the same experience has nothing to do with the other person. We just believe that it does. Sometimes it does, but often it does not. Because we are two universes that are individual. We come together with other people who have like frequencies, but they are not the same as us. Everyone is unique. So your perception is your truest power. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. It is your truest power. So one of the things that we can do this month, Mercury's at the 19th degree. What are the stories that you want to experience? What are what we're here to do? Like yesterday, if you go look at my video from yesterday with Heaven's World, and she said that her mother came through and told her that we're really here to just be having a good time. We're here to be experiencing joy and love, and literally you can whatever you want to perceive. But if you're carrying trauma, you cannot shift your perception. If you're carrying trauma, the trauma in your mind and body will get you stuck. so that you can't move into new perceived realities. Everything is available here. But if you are stuck, and one of the things that I feel like I see myself get stuck in is the narrative around race. And so I'm really working to shift that, to open my heart, to come more loving with myself and understand how everything serves, that it's served to further. It's not working against me, it's working for me, so that I can move my perceived reality out of one way of perceiving this narrative and into another. That one that is more beneficial to who I truly am, my authentic self. But it is a process. It is a process. And I'm not going to deny myself where I am. Because if you deny it, if you act like it's not there, you just push it aside and it shows up later. It's not going anywhere. So I'm working with it to shift it and understanding that my ability to love myself right where I am is the key. And gratitude for whatever it is going to be the vehicle that really opens up the portals, the possibilities into the next reality for me. All right, you all. The Neptune retrograde class is open. You guys can come and register for that. If you are ready to do the work to really claim your... Neptune is about the subconscious. And so it's the stuff that we don't know that we're thinking and doing. It's the stuff that we don't understand that we're generating, even though we're generating it. It's the low-level belief systems that are running you that you don't recognize. The things that you're devoted to. If you're ready to look at that, it's like your dreams. It's the stuff that you were born with. If you're ready to shift this reality, you can sign up for the Neptune retrograde class. We're going to have, this class is going to be different. We're going to have 4 live classes, and you're going to be working with your subconscious and your dream power between June 28th and December 3rd. So you still have time. Yeah, you should definitely come. You should come and do the Neptune class because this energy is really, really, really powerful. It's the energy. Neptune is our subconscious. Mercury is our mind. And the two together are, oh, gosh, I don't really know how to say it right. It's hard to give language to it, but let me say this. The two together are the generative force of this reality, is what I want to say. The two together are what really generates this energy. So if you start doing this work now, you really can set the course for the rest of your life, honestly. You really can. It's very profound to me because you don't understand, like, we're just really starting to understand our humanity and who we really are. And if you tap into this energy, you can set yourself up for the rest of your life. It's just really powerful. It's almost hard to believe, except that that's what it is. And so I encourage you to come join. The class is $33 a month between now and June 3rd. And so that's not a lot of time. I mean, that's not a great investment for deep work. It's a great investment, but it's much more subtle. And so you're going to be able to do this work at the subconscious level. So it's really, really, really an opportunity to reprogram yourself for what you deeply desire and to understand why you deeply desire it and who you are and what you're really up to, your true purpose. Because oftentimes we desire things that tie us back to our history, and we're moving forward now. So we need to really get clear about how we're moving ourselves forward. We don't want to be doing the old stuff anymore. We want to let it go and move into something new. She said, I heard a voice tell me that the other day, and yet I have not joined. I understand. It is okay. Like, this stuff is so subtle, and you hear the voice. One of the things that you really want to become keen to is being able to listen say yes to the voice when it tells you to do something. Because what happens is it's teaching you to listen to yourself. Yes, it's teaching you to listen to yourself and trust yourself. And when you begin to listen and trust yourself, then the universe is like, okay, they're listening. Now we can get them to do this and this and this. And it leads you down the path that is your soul's call. So when you can begin to listen, even if it says, for me, it'll say, don't eat that food. Don't do that. And it's like, And when I listen, the subtle shifts that happen pay off huge. They pay off huge. It's profound. It is profound. All right, you all. Peace and blessings. Yes, it is your divine. It is your high. Exactly. And it can't force itself upon you. That's why I create these classes, so we begin to relate to it. And then we begin to see the value and the benefit of making it our primary relationship. But you have to cultivate it over time because it's so subtle. It's so subtle that you will miss it. You will function over it without even realizing that you're doing it. And you have to build a connection to it in your practices on a daily basis. You cannot just come into this. It's not mundane. It's not mundane. Classes all have made a huge difference. Oh, that just makes me so happy. I'm so grateful. Because we don't believe it, but it's so subtle. It really is. And the classes really help you get it. It really does. All right, y'all. I'm done. Peace and blessings. Wait a minute. No. I didn't say something. Mercury today, the moon. The moon is still in Cancer. So, okay, with the moon still in Cancer, we're still in the new moon energy. We're still in the new moon energy. So you still have this opportunity to set your intentions through your energy of your feelings, like really being able to lean in your feelings and trust yourself. That's what this is. Absolutely. Okay, I'm done. Peace and blessings. Talk to y'all later.